You know, once you know what's important and you tell your customer that's what we consider important, you're going to attract people with the same values.
You know, all of these small changes that you make and you decide what they are, they do all add up.
In the current range, we have an eco-friendly toothbrush, a sensitive toothpaste, and a whitening toothpaste. We've gone down the road of a bamboo-based toothbrush. And in terms of our toothpaste, it's vegan, it's SLS-free. We have a low water content, so we're reducing any water wastage, as well as reducing any harsh chemicals. So in terms of the formulation, we've got that right. But the question that I have for you, Deborah, is how do I source sustainable packaging? How can I improve it?
Oh gosh, that is, you must get that. You must spend your life doing this, don't you? I actually might speak really quickly and then hand you over because this is absolutely his topic. But first thing I would say, you need to understand the bits of that you've absolutely got right and the bits that you haven't. And actually, you need to also look at things like a bamboo toothbrush. That might not necessarily be the right thing. Plastic gets a terrible, terrible reputation. It is an amazing product. What we do is we use it badly. I suspect that in your toothbrush you've got plastic bristles.
Yes, we do, yeah.
So it's very hard to recycle those two products together. It makes it much more difficult. So sometimes it's actually better to say, I'm going to make it all of the same product, and that way it's really, really easy to recycle. So I think deep understanding of the ethics and the sustainability of the actual product that you're making. I sense that you've got the formula. You're dentists. I suspect you've got the formulations right, but things like that you probably never thought about. Why would you? It's a very specialist bit of knowledge. In terms of the packaging, again, the first thing I always think is try and design as much packaging out as you possibly can. Try to make it of a single substance so that you haven't got mixed product. Think about things like the ink. Everybody thinks about what's it made of in terms of the card. They never think about the ink. They never think, well, actually, if I put foil on it, does that make it more difficult? So really stop and think about every single step along the way. But I suspect you're actually going to get much better advice from Robin. Over to you, Robin.
Thank you. Well, actually, yeah, absolutely spot on. I mean, they're really, really important things. I think the packaging in general, and yeah, in terms of like plastics, as we said, plastics aren't the villain of the piece, and it's being able to do. So I would suggest doing a bit of research. Have you looked at WRAP? Have you heard of WRAP as an organisation? They've got some fantastic online things that you can look at, and there's Pledge to Recycle is another great area that you could look at. So just doing you kind of a sort of broader research. The second thing I'd say is, what about also your secondary packaging? So the cardboard that it comes in, the boxes, is that recyclable? Do you send out leaflets with all your products that go out?
We do have a small introduction presentation that we have.
Because you know those leaflets that you send out, are they recycled paper? So it's looking at all packaging, including secondary, and then it also relates to what you could do as well in terms to help to drive consumer behavioural change as well. So if you're sending leaflets out, can you put suggestions in there like turning off your tap when you're brushing your teeth? Sometimes when it comes to recycling toothbrushes, that kind of thing, you can't always do it at the curbside. So there are retailers out there that your consumers can actually take and recycle through the retailers. So that's something that you could suggest when you put out your leaflets.
So our next question was, how can we improve the sustainability practices in general with our business? So, for example, at the moment, we make our toothpaste in the UK. The tubes are sourced abroad. So how can we improve that while also taking into account the costs? Obviously, we've just started our business. We are just a startup.
The truth is that in business, there are a lot. It's never pure. There are a lot of conflicting decisions. And actually, it's also true, isn't it, that net zero can sometimes conflict with nature, can conflict with ethics. You know, it's never straightforward. So what you need to do is come up with your hierarchy. These are the things that we really, really care about. And it'll help you filter your decisions through those, and you will reach points where you think, actually, which is of those is more important. And I say that because actually getting things made abroad is not always a terrible thing. It might be helping economies that are struggling. It might be more environmentally friendly to have it made abroad. If you think about it, and the raw material is sitting over there, you've got to ship the raw material anyway. Maybe it's okay to get it made abroad. So I wouldn't be too pure. I wouldn't just filter things out because of kind of the things we're used to hearing. It's better to make in the UK. Of course, it's great to make in the UK, but if you have your hierarchy of things that matter to you, you might find that actually making it ethically that might help another society, making it in a more sustainable way because the raw materials are over there. That might lead you to that decision. And once you've got that hierarchy, then you can voice it. Once you know what's important and you tell your customer that's what we consider important, you're going to attract people with the same values, and you're not going to disappoint them because you've told them. And it's deeply within you. So you're going to get real trust, and you're not going to attract the ones who don't care about the same things as you. That's life. But if once you know what that is, you can act it and you can voice it.
Robin, I imagine Nestlé source from all over the world. Do you have the same dilemmas?
Yeah, constantly. And it's exactly that, because it's all shades of grey. There's nothing as black and white here. And a decision that you make which feels right, or because that's what everyone's talking about, can have unintended consequences. And we have to constantly, look at exactly where does it all fit. Yeah, human rights challenges, it might be deforestation, and you have to balance it out. So yes, we're constantly having to think about that. I think to Deborah's point really is that you can really just focus on what can you actually do. What are the small things? And small things can build up. So I know right at the beginning we talked about deliveries, logistics, but you're delivering things every day. So the company that you've chosen, are they using electric vehicles, for instance? Well, that potentially might, depending on that hierarchy that Deborah spoke about, that could be something that you look at. But I think as long as all of these small changes that you make and you decide what they are, they do all add up. And I had I don't know if you've probably heard this saying before, but one of my favourite sayings is that if you think you're too small to make a difference, say that to the mosquito in your room in the middle of the night. Yeah.
Do you know what? It's so true, because I'm going to pick on something you said there. Just asking your suppliers what they're doing can change their behaviour. It can absolutely be the spark that says, and it's what you're doing. It's if somebody asked you, I know you, I've only known you for not very long, but I know if somebody asked you a question, you'd be thinking, we need to get onto that, and it's amazing how if you ask the question, and once you know what it is that matters to you and you ask the question, you'll drive change beyond your business. And that gets really exciting when you think, I'm actually, you can, enough people do it. If one person does it, maybe not much difference. 1,000,001 people does it, changes the world.
Thanks to our experts for sharing their insights and their advice. If you'd like further tips on sustainability, then visit nestleprofessional.co.uk.